Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope on this 25th day, draft day in the NBA. They couldn't. This is the ideal situation for the NBA. They get the finals done, and then 3 days later, they got the NBA draft coming up here just a few days after the parade. Congratulations, Oklahoma City Thunder. Going to talk a little bit about Cooper Flagg as well. As you know, I said the other day, I think that he should be the number one pick. I would not trade that pick. I would take that chance and roll with him. We'll talk about that. Jason Patterson will be on here 30 minutes past the hour from Pig Trail Nation. Going to talk a little bit about Arkansas. He covers Arkansas and Kansas City Chiefs, but mainly I'm going to ask him about the Chiefs offseason, adding to their offensive line throughout the draft. How does he see them shaking out this year? As of today, we're about a month away from the start of training camp. Calendar's moving pretty quickly, folks. So got an exciting show for you tonight. And of course, to get my thoughts, Halliburton. I said this the other day. I did not think he should have played last time I was on live. I would not have played him with that quad or with that calf injury. We saw what happened there. I'll talk about that and more. So stand by. We'll take our first and only break. I'll be back here momentarily, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. If we can get to our commercial here today, having some technical problems, folks. Oh, there we go. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty now, since it is 7:03 Central, 8:03 Eastern, I know the draft is starting right now. I'll go ahead and give you my take. Mentioned this a few weeks ago when the draft lottery came out. Had a little discussion there with the Mad New Yorker about Cooper Flagg. That I thought that it was a good idea to go ahead and draft him. Mad New Yorker, Carlos disagreed, thought they should trade him, maybe try to go after Giannis. Boy, they would love to have a young player like that up there in Milwaukee. Giannis is a 31-year-old. Yes, he's a superstar. Yes, he's can't miss. How long are you going to get a guy like that who relies heavily on his speed and size there? Maybe 3-4 good years left. When he's 34, 35 years old, typically injuries start to mount up after that particular age. When you get a guy that feels like a can't miss in a Cooper Flagg, for potential fit. This guy's 18 years old, 15 years, maybe 18 years. You never know. It seems like a no-brainer. I mentioned the fact that he can grow with the team. This is a very rare opportunity in the NBA. Now, sometimes in the NFL, you have a guy like a Ben Roethlisberger drafted to a ready-made playoff team with an excellent defense. We saw what happened in year 2 there. But the NBA, it's very rare when you get the number one pick, the way it's set up now, the way the ping pong system set up, that the top 14 has a chance just like anybody else. It's not big. It's not overwhelming odds for teams with the worst record. It's made to prevent teams from tanking. Either way, they hit the lottery. They got it. They got the best player in years. Not saying that he is as good as LeBron. I say he's comparable to LeBron James. Probably not the prospect of a Victor Wembanyama, although Wembanyama hasn't proved anything, and he's gotten injured. Even LeBron James agrees with me. I downloaded this cut. This is LeBron on his podcast. I want to say he's talking with Steve Nash pretty good bite here. I told you, I don't disagree with LeBron and everything. Listen to his take on Cooper Flagg and how rare of an opportunity he's got.
I personally think that he wants to be great. He had a hell of a year at Duke. A guy that can do so many different things on the floor, can play with the ball, can play without the ball. His jump shot is going to continue to get better. Super athletic, quick second jump, and also he has the benefit, unlike myself, he gets to join a team that's established with Hall of Fame guys, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, right off the bat, Hall of Fame coach Jason Kidd. These guys are like, they can give him the whole blueprint while he continues to learn what his blueprint will be. And I think that's going to be an incredible thing for him to have that type of presence, that type of leadership, that type of just basketball IQ and knowledge around him every single day from those pieces. So I think he's going to be amazing.
That was LeBron James. Even Kendrick Perkins, listen to him the other night talking about on ESPN about Cooper
If
Flagg.
LeBron James and Kevin Garnett had a baby, you get Cooper Flagg. And why I say that is because when you think about it,
LeBron James and Kevin Garnett. So, listen, I want to add this. The other day, Kyrie Irving signed a 3-year extension there. Wasn't sure if that was going to happen. So you got a point guard with some great handles there to go along with. By the way, Daniel Gafford also signed an extension with Dallas here. Okay. Klay Thompson still under contract there, 35, 36-year-old. And, of course, you got, 32-year-old Anthony Davis. That's the older crew. Then you have the younger players that can grow with the next 3 or 4 years after that with a young Cooper Flagg. With the P.J. Washington be 27 in August with Derek Lively, 21 years old there. Building pieces down the road there. So, this is a great opportunity, kind of like a Magic Johnson joining a team with a guy like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar back in 79. We saw what happened there. They went on to win the NBA championship, I want to say, in 80 there with the LA Lakers. And we know Magic went on to win 5 championships. This is a tremendous opportunity there. Can't wait to see this thing play off. I think Flagg is going to break out like that. According to this, the over and under on his stats here is let's see what is his stacks. According to Bet USA NBA, Cooper Flagg's projected to average 17 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists in his rookie season. This guy can come off the bench. He doesn't. There's not a lot of pressure on him. He can probably play in playoff situations early in his career. Got a guy like a Jason Kidd, an NBA veteran, coaching him up. This is the perfect storm for him to come in the right way and grow with the team. There's not going to be a lot of down years. Of course, it's a big deal going from college to the pros. You're going to 25 games or whatever to 82 plus the playoffs there. But you can manage his minutes right. You don't have to go full throttle the first year. I'd imagine him 18 to 22 minutes a game. I know that's very conservative. Bring him off the bench. Maybe put him in the starting 5 when needed. And I think you're off to a great start there down in Dallas. I would be really excited, and I'm sure that's already happened, if not already, in the NBA draft here. Let's see. Of course, I think Dallas is still on the clock. I mean, it's a given thing here. Just checking the X app to see how it's going. So wanted to start that off because I know that the draft is starting as we speak, and it's supposed to be a deep draft here. So let's talk about the finals. It ended in 7. It did not end in 6 as I thought it would. But mind you, folks, this is the second youngest team in 48 years since the 76-77 Portland Trailblazers, led by Bill Walton, late great Bill Walton, who just died recently. I want to say a few months ago, 6-8 months ago. Bill Walton, former personality and whatnot, play-by-play guy, used to play with UCLA, went to the Blazers, also played with Boston. But he was on that team. That team lost the first 2 road games, by the way. That's the old 76-77 Portland Trailblazer team. But this OKC Thunder, listen, a lot of people, not really that great a team, kind of poo-pooing a little bit. They lost 7 games in the playoffs. 5 of them were road games. They lost the pivotal game 6 there. And but I listen, the age of this team being the second youngest in 48 years to get to the finals. I remember watching other young teams come up short, whether it be Orlando Magic, led by a young Shaquille O'Neal, 22, 23-year-old Shaquille O'Neal, 21, 22-year-old Penny Hardaway. I'm going to say Penny came right out of high school or maybe 1 year out of Memphis, if I'm not mistaken. Shaq was 1 or 2 years out of LSU, but already making it to the finals. Michael Jordan told Shaq, he said, you got to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. Go through it. Not so much with this particular team here. Best record, 68 wins. That's 5 wins off the NBA record at 73 for the regular season to go ahead and win the championship. At the young age, it's very difficult. Usually teams like this fold in big moments. They show great poise, show great depth there. Presti really put this group together. Now, of course, their best player, I think, is 25, 26 there in SGA. He's been in the league a little bit longer. But I think it's a very impressive run, considered a very young age. And, of course, they've got first-round picks tonight, multiple. There's rumors that Presti may move up and add more talent. That's what I would try to do if you can possibly do it. You got to trust this guy's eye for talent there. It's very impressive. Of course, with SGA here, I mean, winning the scoring title, very Michael Jordan-like type of feat that he has done. One of only few players to average 32.7 during the regular season, most in title winning season. He passed Michael Jordan, who averaged 32.6, 30 to 1, one difference. In 92 and 93, got a long way to go before he catches MJ, of course. But you guys get the point here. It's a very impressive run. Won the scoring title, won the MVP. When you win the MVP, you're the problem with that is in multiple sports is you're probably a little too much relied upon because of the lack of team around you. But here's a feat for you. This is off NBA Central. Won the scoring title, won the MVP on a 68-win team, won Finals MVP. Just completed one of the greatest seasons. I mean, that is very MJ-like. Players to win MVP and Finals in the same season, not that many. Willis Reed, Moses Malone, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That's why he's the GOAT. And, of course, LeBron's won it twice. That just goes to show you that's one more one-up that Jordan's got on LeBron. And, of course, in 2025 was SGA. The last time LeBron had done it, the last time anybody had done it was LeBron back in 2013. And, boy, did he have a great year that year. Very impressed with LeBron that year. And, of course, Magic done it in 87. So, rare company there. Big feat. Don't want to poo-poo it. I've been impressed with this team for a few years now. You could see them coming together. Thought maybe it may be another year or two before they hit this. They got it now. Kudos, right in the middle of the country here. I think it's great for the NBA, although the ratings say otherwise. I think the fans are just adapting to this new type of play. All right, now, getting short on time, a lot to talk about in a little bit of time. Listen to what myself and Mad New Yorker and the Mad New Yorker talked about on Thursday night. This is before the game. This is before Game 6 tipped off here. Listen, this is about Haliburton with that calf injury. And warning, that was just not a good idea to play him tonight with that calf. I don't know if I would have done that. No, the doctor's really, because he could tear his Achilles doing this. What's your thoughts about that? Should Haliburton play tonight? And is this thing over? Or maybe if he plays and inspires them and they push it to Game 7.
Yeah, I don't feel like they're too late into the season to him to make for the team to make a critical decision like this. If I was the owner, the GM, and the coach, I'd be like, look, just tell the kid he had a good season. Let's see him back here next year. There's no.
Yeah. I mean that's myself and the Mad New Yorker warning. These calf injuries can lead to torn Achilles. I don't know what the coaching staff was thinking. I mean, you look at the fact that this team was a 4 seed and they got all the way to the finals. They got all the way before. I mean, they had won 2 games in the finals prior to this. Excuse me. Get some water here. They transpired forward. They jumped forward. Okay. They were in the conference finals, right? They were in the conference finals last year, if I'm not mistaken. Then they got into the finals this year. All right. They're making the jumps forward. Now that he's torn his Achilles, Tyrese Haliburton, he's going to miss all season. There's no Haliburton this next year. So now they've had a major setback. And I understand, hey, you want to leave it on the line, but sometimes the coaches and the management, they had to stop the player from themselves. Say, hey, man, it's a calf injury. You know you can walk around on it. We know that what this leads to. Little old sports talk guy with the live stream show on a podcast said, hey, that's dangerous. I'm not even a doctor. I know that can lead to an Achilles tear. And sure enough, now he's torn his Achilles. There's pictures of him up in the hospital bed. I hope for a quick recovery. But now they're set back another 2 years. So you won't see Haliburton in this team again until 2027. And, I mentioned the other day, they'll probably lose Miles Turner in free agency. But this is a hot and upcoming organization. I'm sure they can find a replacement there through trade, free agency and whatnot, etc. Just not a very good look for the Indiana Pacers. All right. I don't know what they were thinking. You could see it happening. As soon as he went down, I knew for a fact that I said, that's very likely going to be that torn Achilles. I hope I'm wrong. But, of course, that's what happened. All right. Okay. I wasn't really sure if I would have notes here or time, but I went through it pretty quickly. Let's see if, before I get in this Kevin Durant, let's see if he's actually been drafted here. Okay, the Mouse select Duke Phenomenon Cooper Flack. It is official. AD, Kyrie, and Coop on the same team. That's going to be interesting. Okay, this is multiple sources reported this. He is a Dallas Maverick. There have been no trades. I like it. I love it. I want more of it. Like the song says. You got this guy 6'7", 6'8", with handles like that. I think they made the right call, just like I said at the beginning of the program. Kudos to the Dallas Mavericks. Pick up a lot of Mavericks fans in doing Uber, and they're pretty excited about this guy. They were pretty hot about the Luka trade, but hey, this guy may potentially be better than Luka. I'm telling you, he's very good. He's very good. He's a lot more disciplined than Luka is. I'll tell you that. Okay, other big news. Kevin Durant was traded since the last time I talked to you all. And, Durant's 37, folks. 37 years old. Traded to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green here, Dillon Brooks and a first-round pick. Listen, I know Jalen Green has his issues here offensively, but man, this is a young player, folks. This is a very young player. I want to say, what is he, 4 or 5 years into the league? For Kevin Durant here, 23 years old. I'd have to double check on his Jalen Green's age here. 23 years old, still somewhat wet behind the ears. Played with a very young team in Houston last year. Got the 2 seed, but they look horrible in the playoffs against a seasoned. Well, they look good at times against a seasoned Golden State team. But I'll say this: the fact that Phoenix got a guy like a Jalen Green and the first-round pick and a Dillon Brooks here. And I don't know if I'd have gave up a Dillon Brooks. Dillon's a glue guy. I said this a couple of years ago. I thought that the Golden State should have moved off of Draymond Green. I know that's a controversial, and moved on to a 6 or 7 year younger Dillon Brooks. Same guy, good passer, enforcer, can take up for step, team guy, maybe not quite as talented, but still can play the same type of role. They didn't want to get away from that. Now they're kind of maxed out. They should move on and rebuild that team if it was me. But it is what it is. I thought Phoenix got the better end of that deal. If I'm Houston, at 37 years old, listen, I like Kevin Durant just as much as anybody else. Durant is a 4th, 5th, 6th guy, off the bench type of guy, 45, 50 games a year type of player. He's a type of player that you want to just play him about 20, 25 minutes or less per game. You want to bring him off late in situations there to hit the big shot. You don't want to run him right now. He's not going to the Indiana Pacers. He's not going to Cleveland or Oklahoma City, teams that like to run wide open up and down the court. He's not those type of players. He's not on those type of teams and those type of systems. Houston is a good fit for him style-wise. He's got a former player there, a veteran coach in Ime Udoka there, who's a very good coach there. It's a good fit. It's just what's your expectations? What's your of him? How many minutes? Well, you just want to get the guy ready for the playoffs. Could you use a couple big shots by him in that game in that series against Golden State? Yeah, sure, that would have been great. But don't expect too much more out of him. Again, I got Phoenix. The Phoenix, a team that's desperate for young players, and I'm reading that maybe they may move on for some other players on that team. They did good by getting young. Good for them. Same thing with what's that guy's name? Anthony Simmons traded for Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, 35 years old. They get rid of that contract there to Portland. I don't know what Portland was thinking, but Boston getting, I know this guy's 26, 19 points a game. We'll shoot the 3 there. Anthony Simmons there for the Portland trade. Now, I know this expiring contract, maybe he plays well. I know Tatum's going to be out again with the Achilles injury next year, probably most of the year, if not the whole year. Tatum will be out. If he fits in, great. You extend him. If not, they still got that space opened up. Very good move there by him. And I think the same thing coming up with Kristaps Porzingis here. Been shopped around all over the place, not less. Of course, that's been talked about. Celtics, Hawks, Nets finalizing 3 trade. Yeah, listen, they're getting rid of guys with age, guys that cost money, and guys that are injury prone. You know, I like what the Boston Celtics are doing. You know, they're restructuring their money. I mentioned the other day, I like the fact that you're going to get smart people with with the Lakers as well. You don't get beholden to players in the situations, you know. And of course, the Chris Porzingis there traded him to the Hawks. There, the Hawks can use a guy like that. Boston's glad to get rid of him. They got their championship. I've heard that Jaylen Brown. Now, if you trade Jaylen Brown, now I'm going to want to get a whole lot for Jaylen Brown. Don't get me wrong. That hasn't came up yet, but I've been watching to make sure. Porzingis was kind of a rental anyways. They had some older players there at the big man position. Let them figure that out. But Porzingis is a guy. He's just not that guy. He's always been hurt. He was a major gamble. But they got the championship, you know? They got the chip. When you've already got the chip, that stuff right there is worth it. You know, same thing I said about the Eagles. Once they got Saquon Barkley and they got the championship with Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown, former Tennessee Titan, everything else it's just water out down the bridge. I mean, all the money, the fans don't even think about that stuff now. For the Eagles, now if they're sorry for years and years to come, the Eagle fans will let you know. Your Jamie Pags, your Philly sports guys of the world, they will let you know. Don't get me wrong. But generally speaking, once you get that championship off that risky player, when you're looking back legacy-wise, the fans will say to this, you know what? Man, was it worth it, though. We still had 2023, 2024 Celtics. Wish we could have got more, but at least we got that, and a lot of people thought we wouldn't get that. And I was beginning to speculate whether they would. I didn't think they would have the right coach at the time. So, you know, I've got Jason Patterson coming on here in just a few minutes. Look at Porzingis, 29 years old. Man, time flies. I remember when he was 17, 18 years old being drafted by Phil Jackson and the New York Knicks, thinking that was going to be the big play there. And for a minute there, he looked good with Carmelo Anthony. But the problem is the guy just can't stay healthy, especially when you got big men with foot problems. It seems like they never really get over them. Okay, there is my guest. Man, this dude is there on time. Jason Patterson, folks, from Pig Trail Nation. Let me bring up Jason and give you a round of applause if I can find our applause button. Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
Great, Robert, man. How you doing?
Good. You surviving this heat wave, brother?
Trying to 70 degrees at a time each day.
Yeah. I got my air on 68 today. I know I got the suit on, but I just got to stay professional. It's hot as all get out here as well. Welcome to the program.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, give me a quick take there. Arkansas got made a run at the World Series. Looks like the SEC's having a pretty good run here. Tennessee won last year. LSU went on to win it. Kind of takes us back to our childhood. I mean, the 90s seemed like LSU won every other year back in our childhood, younger days. I know we're close to the same age. What's your thoughts on this run? Did you expect them to make this run? Or are you kind of disappointed the way it ended with LSU?
So first off, I want to point out that the SEC was extremely strong top to bottom. There was a lot of parity. If you think about it, Texas was the regular season champion. Vanderbilt was overall number one and also in the NCAA tournament, but was also the SEC champion and from the tournament. And then you have LSU winning the national championship.
Man,
it was very
it was stacked
right
this year.
Yeah, it was stacked
That
this year.
sounds like the football side of things, don't it? Except for Vanderbilt part.
Yeah. No Diego Pavia there. No Diego Pavia, though.
I love that guy.
He's
Can't
great.
wait to see him this year.
Oh, I know. It's going to be a lot of fun because, I mean, he gives Vanderbilt a chance each and every time they go between the white lines. So excited to see him. But, you know, with Arkansas having the Golden Spikes winner and also the softball NCAA player of the year, first time ever that a school had both winners from the same school. First time ever. That does speak to how well Arkansas is able to recruit, also develop. But at the same time, you've got Courtney Deifel that is trying to break that glass ceiling for her to get to the softball champion or World Series over in Oklahoma City.
Man,
and Arkansas coming up in third place again. Last time was again when Ole Miss won the World Series. I do believe was it 3 years ago.
Okay.
And, you know, Razorback fans had a lot to honestly be kind of downtrodden about because this team was probably the most complete team that Dave Van Horn has had here since he's been here since 2003.
Man.
Top to bottom. Bullpen, starting pitching, and at the plate. It just didn't happen.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a tough division. I mean, it's a tough conference. You look at the coach here in Nashville, Kavarius Tears, a guy I've interviewed on my program. I've worked with his mother. He plays for University of Tennessee. He couldn't even he wanted to go to Vanderbilt. He couldn't even get on Vanderbilt. Of course, He got the last laugh with that World Series title last year. But it tells you how competitive. I'm proud of it. Don't watch it as much as football. But it helps us casuals kill some time in May and June, brother. Speaking of June, got to ask you, what's your thoughts on the Oklahoma City Thunder run there? I was impressed. I know they lost 7 games, 5 on the road, but they're the second youngest team in 48 years, man. Since the 70s, 76 Portland Trailblazers. I was impressed, man. What's your thoughts, Chief?
Well, here's the thing. Oklahoma City Thunder, like you said, they second youngest team, which kind of speaks to them being able to survive the Indiana Pacers because of their youth.
Yeah.
It was extremely hard to watch Tyrese Halliburton go down.
Yeah.
It was like Kevin Durant 2.0 from a few years ago.
Yeah.
Calf strain, comes back a couple of games later, ends up popping that Achilles the very next game back that he comes back in the first quarter. I mean, it was almost identical. And I saw that and I thought, oh, no, this is not good.
But you know something? I don't know if you saw my clip. I put it out here. Talk about it with Matt New Yorker. Before tip-off last Thursday, almost a week ago, the calf injuries, I would not have risked it. They're too close, man. I said, he could pop that Achilles. I wouldn't do it. Here we are a week later. No Halliburton for the whole season next year, man. That was a big setback. Would you have played Halliburton, all things considered, with that calf injury like that?
I would have left it up to the trainers.
Okay.
I would have left it up to the professionals that know his body almost, if not better than him.
I mean, do you fire him now that he's done? He popped that Achilles.
And well, another thing too that you have to put into consideration regarding all of that is that how much input the player has as well. So you have to kind of look at it as a 50-50. What does the trainer think? What does the player think? And I know what the player is going to say. It doesn't matter.
Sometimes you got to protect them from themselves, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to protect. And this is the exact same as, like, for instance, some of these guys that go over and play on for the Olympics, for instance.
Yeah.
If you got a guy that's coming off of a calf strain, ownership's going to tell you, we're not letting you go because you need to heal. But
exactly.
I whenever you get to the pinnacle like that and it be game 7, that is really hard because the competitor in you is going to be ripping through that locker room ready to go and ready to risk it all. And Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And unfortunately, it didn't for him.
Yeah, I know. And Carlo, I think he could have stepped in. I guess he thought, damned if I do that. Because he got through game 6, then you hold him for game 7. But if you withhold him game 6, it doesn't feel that much pressure on you as a coach there. I remember one year, I want to say it was a calf strain for Chris Paul and against Golden State. And I think that he could have put him over. And I was a little ticked that he didn't play through it. Looking back on it, thinking, no, he made the right call, even though he didn't get that ring. He probably would have pulled that. He probably would have snapped that Achilles. And he was an older player. I know Halliburton's a younger player. I think he'll bounce back. But, man, that Achilles is it's rougher than an ACL, man.
It is. The rehab on that one is very tedious.
Yeah.
And you also run the risk of re-rupturing it, which has happened to athletes in the past after they've had the surgical intervention and getting in that taken care of. It sits in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Is this going to happen again? Okay,
I
just felt a
Sean
twinge.
Watson?
I do believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
I think
with Cleveland.
It was an injury than a re-injury with it.
Man, I tell you. So I'm impressed with OKC. I thought they were the better team. They had the 1 seed, 68 wins.
Yeah.
Where would you put them? I think that I didn't put them as an all-time great, but I think it's hard for a young team like that to overcome stuff, man, to win on the road.
It is. I am going to make a comparison here for just a second, and this could be a Spurs-esque run for Oklahoma City. You think about it for just a second. They have got 3 key players with Chet Holmgren, Shea, and Jalen Williams.
That's right.
That's what the Spurs did with Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan. And as the years went on, they moved pieces around. They were able to get to championships 03, 05, 7, and 12. Yeah. And with that being said, they've got 10 first-round draft picks between this year and 2029.
Yeah.
Not only that, they could bring in guys – you saw beforehand where a guy would come in for the league minimum just because they know that they have a really good shot of winning a ring. I see this situation happening with the Thunder too.
I've been impressed with Sam Presti for a number of years. He's came up short with the Durant, Westbrook group. They were very young, if you recall. They won game 1 against the
back in
Miami
against the Heat. Yep.
Yeah. And, of course, that one didn't work out. A lot of people thought Presti was overrated. Your Mad New Yorkers of the world tell me that. I've been a fan of the guy since day one, but I can't put him on this panel till he gets a chip. Now, he's got his chip.
Yep.
Now you're saying he's going to get a bag of chips. He's going to go on that Spurs run. So I'm with you. I think they could, although we've had 7 winners in the past 7 years. That doesn't mean, like the Spurs, win 1, lose 1, win 1. And still kind of put the dynasty that way.
This isn't Sam Presti's first ring either.
Oh, he was an assistant with the Spurs, wasn't he?
He was with the Spurs before he went to Oklahoma City to take over as their GM. So,
yeah,
he comes from that pop in R.C. Buford tree.
Yeah,
and him finally getting through. That folks down in San Antonio were really happy for him. Unfortunately, it did come at the cost of the Spurs not doing so well with Wemby out, De'Aaron Fox out, them coming back. Now getting Dylan Harper. They just picked up here in the draft.
Did they draft him just now?
Yeah, they just drafted him just a little bit ago, which I thought that Dylan Harper was a solid 6'6", and he's not, because I saw him up against his teammate Ace Bailey. Bailey's a solid 6'7", and I think Harper is probably right around 6'4.5", maybe 6'5".
Oh, wow. Okay. Were they expected to get him?
Yes.
Okay. So that was it. That was in the. What do you think about? Now this is another thing I didn't agree. Me and Mad New Yorker didn't agree with, and some others don't. But I think that I would have drafted Cooper Flagg and not traded him for like a Giannis or whatever. I feel like he's can't miss. He's got a great team around him. He can grow slowly. He's not asked to carry this team. they could go on a 15-year. They can have this guy 15 years perhaps. Or do you say, wait a minute, it's going to take a few years to grow this guy. Let's trade him and try to win now. What are your thoughts about a Cooper Flagg? Obviously went number one. That was a big toast there. Going to Dallas today.
So I've got a little bit of an interesting view on this.
Okay.
Mark Cuban was still the operating owner of the Mavericks.
Okay.
I think that he probably trades out because if they ended up getting the number one pick and still having Luka, he trades out of that pick altogether.
Okay.
Doesn't take a chance because basically Luka and Cooper Flagg are kind of a 1A, 1B type sort of position.
If he got Luka, you're right, because he would have never dealt Luka.
Never would have dealt Luka. Then you wouldn't have Nico Harrison's head on a stake ready with the people in Dallas. So with that being said, you trade back if Mark Cuban was still the owner of the Mavericks.
Of course, yeah.
Well, majority owner with Adelson's now taking over. But you don't draft Cooper, you trade back, you get some draft stock. On top of that, you get maybe a player or two that's good for the locker room as well. So I would have personally, I probably would have traded back, got some more draft capital off of that because that pick tonight is worth the most it'll ever be worth.
Yeah.
Because after tonight, just like a new car, once it drives off the lot, there's depreciation.
That's right. That's right.
So once this is the most capital you'll have in that pick between now and forever. So you either have the choice of either taking Cooper Flagg, investing in him, and bringing him along. Another caveat to that is you do not have oh goodness, his name just went blank on me. Point guard for the Mavericks. Oh, gee.
Irving?
Kyrie Irving is not going to be back until after Christmas.
Okay.
So
but
now
he's signed a 3-year extension, so they got some faith in him.
They do have some faith in him, but they have got to find something to carry them from end of October through the end of December now, because at this point they got some they have some capital that they can bring in a guy to take his place at the moment. But the problem is that you still got a rookie that's going to be probably playing your 3 and a backup point guard that's going to be running your team for 3 months.
Yeah,
that's what they're looking at,
I guess, or somebody like that.
He's a free agent right now, so you don't know they're almost kind of locked into bringing back Dinwiddie just for that simple fact.
Yeah. Man, even LeBron, I don't agree with LeBron on practically anything. He thinks it's great that Flagg is going to go to a team because it's so rare in the NBA. Now, in NFL, I mentioned the fact Ben Roethlisberger drafted to a great running game, great defense. Yeah. It's very rare for that to happen. Patrick Mahomes going to Kansas City, ever going to play, But
behind Alex Smith.
Who?
Behind Alex Smith.
Behind Alex Smith, yeah. In basketball, we go far back. Maybe Magic Johnson goes with a guy like Kareem. They win shortly after that. But it's just rare in basketball. Usually you're with a bunch of guys that you probably don't want to be on the team later.
Man, I'm going to tell you what, the conspiracy theorists are out in full force, but then also...
Oh, I know. I read that the night of the lottery.
Well, and then you have the Shaquille O'Neal story that popped up from years ago with David Stern. And with all of that going on and asking, do you like warm weather? Would you can make that happen, Ty? I'm like, what in the hell? You guys are just feeding into this at this point.
I think Shaq just wants to pump up his I think some guys want to pump up their podcast for stuff like that. I don't know, man. I saw that too, man. But you could have what about Orlando with them getting the number 1 pick again and getting Penny Hardaway? Remember that in the documentary?
Yeah, I remember seeing that too, because at first Shaq didn't want Penny. He didn't want him. And then he realized that Hardaway was like the real deal. And not only that, but he was a large point guard, kind of like Magic was. Yeah. And he realized that the guy's got handles and he's got great passing skills, and realized that, oh crap, this guy can really take us places. And they damn near did. I mean, they almost beat the Rockets in the 93 finals.
Yeah, 93, 94. And Jordan told Shaq, he said, you got to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. Now, they did do blue chips together. and
Sure
he
did.
did like working with him there. So maybe that's what helped the relationship too. They did the movie. I love that movie. I've seen
That's
it
a
bunch of
great
times.
movie. Nick Nolte was great.
Yeah.
God, so good. And then the Larry Bird-esque kid from
Cameo.
Dad just wants a freaking tractor. It's like, get out of here.
Yeah, that's all he wants is the guy that wants the tractors. You mentioned you like the Knicks, man. We've talked Knicks before. I like to get different perspectives. What do you think about them firing Tom Thibodeau? Was that the right call to upgrade? What's your thoughts, man?
First off, firing Tibbs was a bad idea, I think, because that guy is made for not only New York, but New York media, New York scrutiny, and also New York, like the team itself. I mean, if there was ever a person that it was meant for that team, that was him, because of his approach and his style and his grittiness and his chippiness at the same time. I mean, he was made for that job, and for him to be let go after going to the Eastern Conference Finals, we've seen this a few different times where coaches have taken. I mean, you look at Brendan Malone, for instance, and also
Mark Jackson, maybe.
Oh man, not really Mark Jackson, but the guy that was over Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse after he got fired from Toronto. And then the guy that was just at Denver that just got fired.
Malone, Mike Malone.
Yeah, Mike Malone. That's who I'm thinking of. So, yes, that trend is there. And I was watching the Last Dance, and they were talking about whenever Jerry Krause told Phil Jackson that was it. I mean, doesn't matter if you win 82 games. Jerry Reinsdorf told him and said, you better have a damn good replacement then. Or it may have been Jordan. Said, you better have a damn good replacement for the guy that just took us to the finals. Because, and that's what New York is looking at. And the fact that they haven't hired somebody before the draft tells me that they are going to put in a lame duck coach.
Yeah.
Again, because you bring in a coach before the draft to have his input for his team. And whenever you don't, the next person that signs up for that job is basically a 2-year gap before they get their next guy.
Well, that sucks. I thought that they would. I was okay. I was looking at it from the side of like a Golden State with the Mark Jackson. Mm-hmm. Maybe he did play. He overplayed his starters. He didn't develop his bench enough. Very ball centric. What's the guy with Jalen? What's his face there? Brunson.
Yeah.
Too much of that. Not enough fluidity in the offense. I understood the criticisms, but I thought they would have a plan there, Jason. I thought they would have a plan and a coach in waiting. It seems like why are you asking all these other coaches here that are already coaching other teams here? So I'm disappointed in the Knicks from that perspective. And quite frankly, I don't know what they're thinking about not even trying to get a guy like Mike Malone, who's won a championship, kind of like bringing in a Rick Carlisle, who won a championship, but things kind of wore thin with Dallas. Now he got, they were pretty close to winning one with the Indiana Pacers. So now it looks like it's Mike Brown or Taylor Jenkins. I couldn't imagine him. I mean, nothing against Taylor Jenkins. There's no way I would want to replace this guy for a Thibodeau. Are you kidding me? What's your thoughts about coming down to possibly those two guys, Mike Brown or Taylor Jenkins?
At that point, I think that your best option would be probably Mike Brown, just for the simple fact that he's been to the Summit and he's coached some really big superstars in the past. He understands how to really kind of maneuver a team around different personalities and being able to placate to some that need it versus some that probably need a little bit harder coaching. He can do that, but I mean, that was the same knock on Mark Daigneault before whenever he took over for Oklahoma City. I mean, coming over from Europe and people really knocked on him and then realized.
Never heard of that guy. Yeah.
Oh, shit, this guy knows what he's talking about. And now he's over there with a ring going, you think I know something?
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's true. Now, you're a baseball. I'm pretty sure you remember Grady Little in 2004 being fired from the Boston Red Sox for Francona. So the standards are pretty high for the next coach. Yeah. Go win the championship or you're a bust.
No, or at least give us a shot. Get us to a final.
Get to the finals. Get to Game 7 of the finals. But
that's
just win it.
And that's where Mike Brown has done that before, and so I think that the organization might be looking at that.
Yeah. So, got to get some Chiefs questions in there, brother. What's your thoughts on their offensive line upgrades? Is a guy like Josh Simmons enough? What have they done in the offseason? What are your thoughts about that? Because that seems to be their biggest issue.
Well, let's go over this for just a second. Let me bring this up here.
Yeah.
So, So, for instance, now, and this is, I'm going to blow your mind for a second. Jawan Taylor, right tackle, is going to be making almost as much as Patrick Mahomes this year. I kid you not.
Wow.
Is
he worth it?
No. I mean, frank with you, no. I mean, unfortunately,
I figured you might know something I don't. I was just curious, brother.
My filter doesn't lie on that one because whenever you have a guy like him come in, or that comes back in, it's like, I don't know about that one. I am extremely excited to see Jalen Moore, offensive tackle that came over from the 49ers. He's going to be taking over that left spot. And then you're going to be moving. Hold on just Simmons. A second. Yeah. No, you're going to be moving. Hold on a second. I got to pull this back up here. And then, you're going to be moving. See here. Hold on just a second. It was kind of updating here. Trey Smith, you're going to be moving him back in because he was playing tackle there at the last of the season. And that's where you saw a lot of the shortfalls and shortcomings. Yeah. Hell, I mean, the guy still, just a few minutes ago, he just got called for another holding penalty. But
so he's probably better inside. That's natural for him to play guard.
Correct. Yeah. He was natural inside. And then whenever everything started rolling downhill, they had to move him back and they had to move him outside. And then that's whenever really things started happening. That really forced Brett Veach to make some moves. That's why you saw hold on.
Yeah.
Joe Thuney. That's why you saw him move over to the Bears because they needed some cap space to re-sign a couple of guys and also bring some other guys in. Because I mean, now you got Christian Fulton, who played 4 years with the Titans and had a cup of coffee with the Chargers.
I think that's probably the weak link, if you ask me.
Yeah. But
what about Simmons, man? I mean, do you think he's going to recover from this injury? The first-round pick out of Ohio State?
Yeah, I think so. And this is probably the best-case scenario for him and letting him come back as he's able to perform as far as making sure that he's recovering fine from that injury. But the thing is that with some of the acquisitions that they've had this year, I know that they talked, Brett Veach talked about our free agency was going to be re-signing the guys that we needed to.
Yeah.
But whenever you go back and look at it now, I mean, you only re-signed Nick Bolton, Kareem Hunt, and Malik Herring. Those were the three. And then after that, now you've got Gardner Minshew. He's now backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And Elijah Mitchell, he's coming over at running back on top of Kareem Hunt. And so now you start to look at, okay, where does all of this fit? Because you've got a pretty good area with running back. You've got a pretty deep room. You've got guys coming off of injury with Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and that loaded freaking room at wide receiver.
That's a good receiver room. Year 2 for Worthy, the game will slow down for him. Yeah.
And with those three and with X and those two guys, that's going to be really fun if they can keep all of those guys healthy. If they can, holy cow, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. The youth, looking at their roster, I could see them being competitive. But on one side, and then the other side, I can see, well, man, other than Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, there's nobody you really trust on that line, you know?
Well, you think about it too. It's been kind of that way for the last 3 or 4 years where they were kind of patchworking for the first. And this is what Kansas City cannot afford to do this year, was what they did last year. We're going to piecemeal it until we can make it work. And then once we can make it work, then we'll just go with it, because they went through basically a 16-week trial and error.
Yeah.
And then finally, towards the end of the season, they finally had it. Okay, now we kind of got it set. They cannot afford to do that, because everybody's a little bit a year longer in the tooth. You're not going to see Travis Kelce as much. I don't think you are. I think you're going to see more of hold on just a second.
They got a new tight end?
No, you're going to see a little bit more of Noah Gray.
Yeah.
And I think that he's going to take Travis's spot. Also, you've got Robert Tonyan too from that played up in Green Bay.
Oh yeah. I think they should. Yeah, they get him involved, man. They're going to be interesting. Although the Chargers are strong right now, I think I may pick LA to win that division. But it's June. You know, we got to look at the training camp and everything, and injuries and who's healthy.
And now you've got the Raiders that have got Pete Carroll, and he's got his quarterback that he had over there at Seattle.
Yeah. Geno. Yeah.
Geno Bell, or not Geno Bell, sorry.
Smith,
Geno Smith. And Geno Bell was former Razorback defensive tackle. Sorry.
Hey, it's still preseason, brother. I know.
It is, but
I know.
You know, with that being said, folks can go see Kansas City up at St. Joseph, Western Missouri University, starting on July 22nd. That's when preseason opens up. Training camp for players report date is July 20th. And you'll see.
You gonna be up there?
I'm going to try to get up there, see what I can do.
Man, you have to check in with me, brother.
If I'm up there, I will be checking in with you.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
So plug whatever you're doing, man. What you got to plug, brother?
So tomorrow night, it's the Arkansas Football Report with myself and Otis Kirk. And one of our writers is going to be on with me tomorrow night, 7 o'clock.
To that. What time?
7 o'clock on Hogville Net YouTube Live.
Okay.
So it's just Hogville Net is our YouTube channel, or you can also find us at hogville.net. So find out. You can watch any of the episodes that we have. It's all in the threads. And also, tell you what, man, I'm going to put a plug in for Kevin McPherson. He does a hell of a job with Coach Calipari and the basketball team. So if you want any insight on that, he's your guy. So
yeah, I know. I kind of keep making notes of that. College basketball is getting bigger now.
Yeah. Well, you see, and they were talking about this on ESPN just a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
that you're starting to see the European guys go to college because of the NIL situation.
I love it, brother.
Unless you're one of the top tier guys over in Europe, you can make just as much money over here going to school and getting more traction with these NBA scouts here in the US versus over there, in Europe. So the top tier guys in Europe are still staying there because they can make quite a bit of money. But some of the second tier guys are coming over here and making more money than they would have if they stayed over there with NIL and also going to school. So it does create a different dynamic, and that's where you're starting to see some of these European guys come over. I know that Arkansas snagged one from Bolivia, and he was
Calipari is going to find that talent.
Oh yeah, he was mining. I mean, straight mining right after the season was over with. Well, one of the first things he did was he flew to Bolivia to see this guy.
Yeah. You know something? This past Final Four was the best Final Four I can remember in 10 or 15 years, if you ask me, Jason.
Yep. And I
Florida and Duke like that, and Houston was good. I mean, it was right down. I mean, it was great, man.
Man, I'm going to tell you what, that was such a heart-wrenching ending to that Florida game, though.
Both of them, but I really hated the fact that I felt like Duke got robbed in the game before that against Houston.
Yeah, a little
some
bit.
Bad calls in that game, and it is what it is. You know, nobody feels sorry for Duke, but it just is what it is. I know they're Duke. I know. I get it.
Man, I'm going to tell you what. Okay, I have to ask you this. I got a question for you now.
Yeah.
Is this Duke team as hated, if not more hated, than the Leitner Dukes?
No. Does Leitner stayed there for a few years and he just taunted. He taunted. That's why I wish they had two. I prefer 3, but at least 2 years out so you can build your audience, whether you love or hate that player, but at least you know that player coming in. Hopefully NIL will change this. We'll start seeing these European players play at Florida, play at Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, Duke, of course. Love them or hate. So it's unfortunate. I kind of wish Cooper Flagg was back at Duke and people was hating him, but it's all good. I'm looking forward to him in Dallas. But no, Leitner, that's just not.
That's a different level of hate.
I know he's a good guy.
Yeah.
But I loved it. But when I know Tennessee did not have the horses, I loved it when LSU would beat Florida or Auburn would beat Florida with those Tim Tebow teams. You get tired of looking at that crap. Oh, he's so inspirational. Like, dude, he's 20 years old. He's a football player. God, he's not a preacher.
I'm going to say, because my first experience of seeing Tim Tebow was his freshman year when him and Chris Leak were splitting time.
Yeah.
And
they beat Tennessee that year off a close game.
Yep. Arkansas had them dead to rights. Arkansas was down by, I think, 20 some odd points. They were making a comeback. They were on defense. And I love this guy to this day, but Tony Bua was called for a late hit, which extended the game for Florida on offense. Chris Leak drove him down, and then Tim Tebow scored.
Yeah.
Or I think
was
it was
that Darren McFadden and Felix Jones on that Arkansas team, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it might have been. I think that was the
really good running game, man. They just couldn't finish it. Quarterback play wasn't good enough. That sucks. God.
You have 3 NFL running backs in the same backfield.
Yeah.
You're going to run.
Didn't you love to see Tebow cry when Alabama beat him in that last SEC championship?
Yes, I do. But the thing is that I got to meet Tim Tebow a couple of years ago whenever whenever they were doing the SEC travel and road show, whenever Arkansas opened against Cincinnati. And there was a media scrum the day before. And I got to meet Tim, and super nice guy.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you cannot hate him. Like,
he's
seriously.
a good dude. He's a good dude.
And then whenever
he's
you
here a lot for church stuff here in Nashville, we got churches everywhere.
Yep. And
he's a good guy.
He is. Oh, also speaking of Nashville, there's a guy named Travis Kelce that was holding a tight end university there this week.
I was doing Uber last night, and people were telling me that it was some kind of bowling alley downtown that him and Taylor Swift were in there. So she performed somewhere. I'm not sure if it was that bowling alley or not, Jason.
Well, I can guarantee you this. You know where they're at because you wouldn't be able to get within a mile of that place.
It looked like Studio 54. I got a feeling that was there. And yes, they had the tight end university thing. I think that's pretty cool for them working with the young players like that. Kudos to him and George Kittle and all the tight ends participating in that. I like see the guys give back, man.
Yeah, it's really nice to see them because, you have those guys that are kind of put up on a pedestal a little bit, and then they don't follow through, and you have these guys that are following through. It just really does resonate with kiddos. And I know that there was a huge knock on football here the last few years with the CTE stuff. They have made some great improvements with the helmets and stuff. Like, for instance, Aaron Rodgers, his helmet did not pass.
Oh, wow.
Did not pass. And he's like, I don't want to play then, but he's going to. It's going to be his last season.
Yeah. Should have got that one in there. Hey, buddy, appreciate you coming on, man.
Anytime.
Let me give you
I love that one, man.
Oh, the air horn, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. See ya. All right, everybody. Jason Patterson, make sure and check him out on Pick Trail Nation. You saw his plugs here. Great guy, great connections. I'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, here with the Mad New Yorker, hopefully here on the Real Sports Scope. Good night, everybody.